Good morning, guys. Welcome back to Stinson Farms. Hey, today's April 6th, Sunday, and we are out riding around. We're making our way to the farm, but I wanted to show y'all some of this flooding. And we've had, from the best I can get from what they're telling us, around 12 inches of rain in the last 4 days. And everything I'm going to be showing you here is farmland. It's not ours. We don't farm it. We used to farm some of this, but I got away from these river bottoms for this reason. But it is all underwater this morning. It's like a big lake. This is why, when we were farming these river bottoms, this is why we couldn't ever plant early. It was going to get out in the spring, almost every spring, at some point in time. And this may not be the last time it gets out this spring yet. Here's another bottoms. And there's bottoms on the other side of the river over there that we used to farm. We used to farm these, and about 75 acres on the other side. And then look here in front of me. This is the road going into Muhlenberg County from Butler here. And it is over the road there for about 4/10 of a mile. So that's going to be there for a while, because it's still coming up. Well, guys, we're going to head up to the farm. We're very lucky. When I say we, I'm talking about us in this area. We have a lot of flooding, but the flooding around here is something that people are used to. This one's a little worse than normal, but right in our area, or where we live right here, we live around a couple of rivers where 2 rivers come together, and there's a lot of flooding there on a yearly basis. I mean, where people are used to the water getting out. There's not a lot of homes in that floodplain. Now, there is some in a flood like this. It's abnormal that it may get into some people's houses, but for the most part, everybody around here is situated outside of the floodplain, and not too far from us. However, when I say not too far, I'm talking about 20 miles from us in some other little towns. They haven't been so lucky. And then there's other places in the state, and even some of the states south and west of us, they've had a lot of tremendous flooding, and it's not something they normally see, and it's been pretty rough. So I know there is some towns in the eastern part of the state here that they have evacuated completely because of the abnormal flooding. And not only is it flooded so bad, it's cutting everything off to where they couldn't even get to someone if they needed some emergency help or not. So they have chosen to just evacuate the whole towns. That way they've got nobody there to where if they had an emergency that they'll be without any help. They've lost all utilities in those areas, and and it's really no way of communicating anyway. So they just chose to evacuate everything. But we're better here. We're not dealing with that right here where we live. But still, from a farming perspective, I'm glad that this is happening in the 1st of April and not the middle of May like it did last year. Even though this is a bigger flood than what we had last year. The flood last year came in May, and it was it really pushed planting out, and that really hurt everybody on their yields and everything, because on top of that we was hit with a drought later in the year. All that being said, that doesn't mean that that's not going to happen again in May. But I'm hoping that this is it. Growing up, they always talked about, you know, planting river bottoms to wait for the May rise. And they would normally get a river would normally get out sometime in late April, 1st of May. And about the earliest we ever got to plant those river bottoms was mid-May. We have planted them in May and lost them in July. So it does happen, but we'll typically, if you waited till sometime mid-late May, you were pretty safe. But the only problem is you had to be quick getting your crop in the fall, because it was going to water was going to get over again in the fall. So it was rough, and we decided to get away from the river bottoms. We sold our property that we had on the river, and we went about 15 miles south, and we've got some ground up here. Even though it tends to be a little wet, it is safe from flooding. It's not going to get water over it. But anyway, we're headed up to the farm this morning. We're going to see if just see what things look like up there. I put a rain gauge out before all this rain started, and I come up here the other morning. It's going to empty it. I couldn't get to the farm. The water had me cut off every way I went, and there was no way to get to it from home. So my rain gauge has been sitting there running over, I'm sure. They're telling us on the news somewhere between 10 and 12 inches. I think locally some people could have had more than that, but it's been a big rain, and it's still raining, and it's still a chance for some more heavy rains later today. But today is supposed to move out. Today, this is supposed to be it. So hopefully everything is out and gone from this area, and everything slows down, and we can get back to letting everything drain and dry up and get back started. But we'll see when we get to the farm, or pretty close to it anyway. So here's one spot right in front of us. The water's just went down here. It's been over right here for the last few days. I come down here Friday morning, and it was up to the top of the guardrails. But we can get through today, and that was the obstacle of keeping us from the farm on this road, and every other side road besides this one, water was over as well. So I think we're good from this point on. So here's some of our ground. Although it's probably muddy enough you can sink up to your shins if you tried to walk out there in it. It's not underwater. But it will be a few days before we can get in it. I was trying to get all the burn down sprayed. That was about 40 some acres there on that place I was going to get sprayed, but I didn't get to it before the rain got here. Well, actually, I could have gotten it sprayed before the rain got here, but the last day and a half before the rain got here, it was so windy, it just it wasn't spraying weather. We'd have just made a mess. So we hadn't sprayed that yet. All right, here's my rain gauge, and it is sitting full on 6 inches, and probably has been for a few days. But this is a field that we sprayed burn down on. Well, about 30 acres up here we got burn down sprayed on right before the rain, and another 30 acres on another farm. So it looks like it's coming along, doing a job, as long as it doesn't as long as this rain doesn't reverse that. And it doesn't look like I killed my onions. I got some wild onions out here. They look like they're still plenty green. We are going to make our way around the fields, and we're going to head down to the creek. I want to see how the water is at the creek. We got some water standing, which is not a surprise in some areas. Oh, we got a tree down. I just cut all the trees out from around these fields and cut everything back. Now we got another one down. That's a much bigger tree than it looked like from way back there. Well, shoot. Well, we will we'll get up here this week, put the power saw on the skid steer, and we'll get her out of the field. Made it to the creek, and honestly, it's not as high down here as I was expecting it to be, although it's not as high as it has been. It's went down a lot here comparing to what it had been. Warshuts and stuff over here. Yeah, it's been out much higher than what it is right now. Lost a limb gonna make our way back to the top of the hill. Well, me and Ollie made it back to the truck, and we are wet and cold. It's raining just a little bit, just a real fine mist, plus there's water falling off all the trees went under, and it just got us wet. And it's in the 40s this morning, and it's pretty damp, a real damp coolness, and I'm cold. I know he is. Hey guys, I don't know. We can't control the weather, and if I could, I couldn't control it to suit anybody else. And everybody would want something different anyway. So we just have to live with it and deal with it the best we can, and just have to hope everything works out in our favor, or at least as good as it can, and we can have an opportunity to deal with things in a positive way when everything dries up. But it's wet. It's going to be wet for a while. It's going to be wet for a lot of people all through this part of the state. Well, just about the entire state of Kentucky and Arkansas and Missouri and Mississippi and over into Alabama and different places. It's just not going to be Tennessee. It's not going to be anybody getting in the fields anytime soon. It's going to take a little while, but hopefully it's still early yet, so hopefully we can get some drier weather and things can dry up, and we can get started early enough to make a good crop this year. Hopefully it's not mid-June like it was last year, but let's pray that we can get it out sooner than that. But guys, just wanted to bring you along this morning, talk a little bit about the weather conditions we're having, what's going on here and with us, and how it's affecting us. And it's just no different than anybody else. We're just sitting and waiting now. I do have some odd end things I can do, but I'm not going to be getting any field work done. And that's what I was really hoping to be able to do during the month of April. And at this point, it's going to be pushing the end of April before we can get back in the fields. If we don't get any more rain, it's just going to be that wet for that long. But guys, thank you. And thank you for hanging out. And as always, we'll see you next time.